Well everybody, welcome back to another video on my channel, and this is another Championship match day roundup video where we're just going to run through all of the match day results over the weekend. And yeah, we're going to give our opinions as always and talk about the games because there's been some plenty of talking points this week, and we're going to get straight into it. We're going to talk about the Friday night fixtures. There was two actually. We're going to start off with Cardiff versus Preston. Preston won this game 1-0 thanks to Tom Clark header late on in the game. It was a ball bobbling around in the air from a set piece. They had a couple of chances leading up to it as well, did Preston, and then Tom Clark, as I said, it was bobbling around. He comes into the box, manages to nod the ball in, and it goes over the keeper and into the back of the net, and it gives Preston all 3 points. And it's a second home defeat and a short turnaround of days now for Cardiff. Before the game against Fulham on Boxing Day, they hadn't lost the game at home, and straight away they lose 2 in a row straight after that, which just shows you football can be a funny sport at times. You know, sometimes you don't win a game, then two come along like buses, and if you don't win, and if you don't lose a game, then it happens as well. But that was a huge 3 points for Preston in terms of them trying to get into the playoffs now. And you've got to look at their team compared to Cardiff. I mean, Preston's team was assembled for just a combined value of £2 million, and it just shows you in this league you don't have to spend all the big money. If you get players who fit your system and know what they want, know what they're trying to do, really, then you can go a long way. And if you get that belief and team spirit, similar to what Huddersfield did last year, if you have that team spirit and belief, you can go a very long way. It's a big result for Preston, who need that 3 points, as I said. And as for Cardiff, it's not the worst result in the world. They slip out of the automatic promotion places. They're into the playoffs now. I think that's where they'll finish the season, unless they pick up their form again like they did at the first half of the season. They probably could do with a bit more recruitment in January to try and get a couple more players in, but it's not the worst result in the world for them, but I do see them staying in the playoffs for the foreseeable future. So going to the next game was local London derby between Millwall and QPR. Millwall won this game 1-0 thanks to Steve Morrison header in the second half. Prior to the game, Ian Holloway got plenty of abuse. There was a guy on social media, him come off the QPR team bus, and every Millwall fan chanting a few colourful phrases that I'm not going to repeat for reasons that younger viewers do watch this video and that, and I'm not going to repeat it. But looking at the way the game panned out, you'd say Millwall had the better of the chances out of the two teams. A couple of chances in the first half. Steve Morrison could have had a brace. He had a couple of chances in the first half, as did Lee Gregory, and I think George Howell had a couple as well. But then in the second half, they did get their breakthrough. Lovely cross to the back post. In comes Steve Morrison charging in. He nodded it in to make it 1-0. And towards the end of the game, QPR weren't very close thanks to a Matt Smith header. And also in the first half, QPR also had a big chance thanks to a Jake Bidwell header that went. I think it hit the crossbar. I think it did, or it went over the bar. I'm not too sure. But big result for Millwall now. That pushed them into mid-table safety. I'd say I'd say they're in a healthy position now. They're not down in that relegation dogfight. And they're looking okay. But as for QPR, the teams below them did pick up points, so it does drag them back into that relegation scrap. And they need to get a big result up against Cardiff, who are the next game on New Year's Day, which is tomorrow. And if they can get a good result there, then I'm sure they can just move away from that relegation mix to something they don't want to be involved in, really. So going to the Saturday games, it was Barnsley 1, Reading 1. This is the featured game of the weekend. Ethan Pinnock with a 90th minute equaliser in this game after a Jan Kermorgant header in the second half, which was a beautiful cross from Tyler Blackett, I must say. It's a lovely cross. One of them crosses that the keeper couldn't really come out for because it was spinning away from him. Kermorgant gets in between both centre-halves, nods it into the back of the net, which was probably against the run of play, I'd say. I think Barnsley had a better chance in the second half. They created a few in the first half as well. Thiam had a couple of chances in the first half, so did Tom Bradshaw. Again, Tom Bradshaw went close in the second half as well. But obviously, Reading did make it 1-0 against run of play, but then Ethan Pinnock did make it 1-1 in the 90th minute. And they probably could have won the game as well. Icky Ugbo had the chance, headed over the keeper. It was probably going in, but a Reading defender clears it off the goal line. But looking at the way both teams, the result for both teams, I'd say a point. It's not the worst result in the world, I wouldn't say, for both teams. But looking at who Barnsley have next, they do have Sunderland coming up next, so they need to get 3 points soon. Obviously, they've got a new Chinese consortium coming in, and I think in the January transfer window, if they can get a couple of experienced heads in to try and help out the younger group of players in that team, and then try and push up the league next. This is all going to take time. I think certain fans might expect instant success from the big ownership, but it's going to take time because it's going to take time to identify good players who want to come to the club. And then you've got to think of short term more at the moment than you've got to think of a long term project. You've got to try and stay in this league first of all. And if they don't stay in the league in that, they're not going to be able to attract the bigger players to try and get them up into the promised land, which is where every team wants to be in this division. Every team's fighting to go up into the Premier League, and they need to be trying to get 3 points instead of draws and defeats. But as for Reading and that, a couple of, I think the 4 defeats now prior to this draw, so at least it was a good consolidation not to lose this game, but at 1-0 they probably should be seeing out the game. With the quality they have in their team as well, they should have been able to see this one out. But the failure to get a second goal was obviously a reason why they probably didn't go on to win this game. And it's going to be a tight one, I think, for Reading this season. I don't think they'll get the playoffs this season. I think that's a long shot now, but hey. I think, in my opinion, they did overachieve last season. Playing some good football still, but I think mid-table will be a good finish for them this year. So moving to the next game, it's just a quite big shock actually. Birmingham beat Leeds 1-0. Didn't expect this. Jackson Magoma with a rebound. He made it 1-0 in the second half. Now it gives Birmingham a huge 3 points in terms of them trying to stay up in this division. Their 13th goal all season now. An unlucky number for some, but didn't prove to be unlucky for Birmingham yesterday, who did take all 3 points thanks to that. And they didn't really have many chances, I don't think, really, in that game. Leeds had probably the better of the chances, but in the first half they had one major shot. I think that was from Pablo Hernandez, which David Stockdale saved quite comfortably. But in the second half, Leeds brought Samuel Side to come back from injury, and you can see straight away when he came on, the whole dimension of Leeds changed. They felt more confident going forward. They had a couple of chances as well to probably make it 1 or 2-0. Failure to take them allows Birmingham to still stay in the game, and they get the rub of the green with a rebounded shot from Felix Weidel. Falls right to the path of Jackson Magoma, who thumps the ball and makes it 1-0 and gives them all 3 points. But as for Leeds, if they want to finish in the playoffs, and they're still in the playoffs on paper at the moment, they've got to be beating these type of teams. To finish in the playoffs, you need to be picking up. They're doing well against the bigger teams, but against the lesser teams especially, they beat Burton 2-1 away from home, and they should be beating Birmingham as well, really. That win against Burton was a fantastic result, a good charactered result as well, coming from a goal down, grinding out a result there, and they go and slip up here. It's probably a little blip. I wouldn't look into it too much. They've got January coming up, linked with some very good players like Jack Colback, Ben Woodburn as well, 2 players there who could come in and help the squad out a bit, add a bit more strength, quality and depth to that. And you've got to look at the way Birmingham are at the moment, again, similar to Leeds, looking towards January transfer window now. Steve Cottrell thinks they're the right man. If he can be backed, so they can get some more stability off the pitch as well, then I do believe they're going to have a good chance of staying up. I think if they could play Hotter a bit more centrally and behind Sam Gallagher potentially, then you might see a whole different Birmingham side and a bit more of a confident one. So going to the next game, Brentford 2, Sheffield Wednesday 0 on this one. Goals from Lasse Vibe and Hoferzoon in the second half gave Brentford all 3 points. Good result for Brentford after a solid result against Aston Villa and a solid result against Norwich as well. So I think that's 3 wins in a row now for them over Christmas. And they're looking quite good now, 3 wins at least from their festive period games. They're looking quite solid for an outside chance of the playoffs now, sitting in the top 9 now, and they're going quite well, scoring goals, playing some good football as well. As for Sheffield Wednesday, I think the players will be out of sorts for them. A good result up at Nottingham Forest over the weekend, 3-0 win there, and they go follow it up with a defeat here. The inconsistency that's always been with them this season is probably starting to show even more now than it had been originally. And they probably could look to January, similar to what most teams as well, to try and maybe get a couple of players in, or maybe just try and get a manager in sooner rather than later, or give the caretaker manager the job to the end of the season, because they need some stability. The fans can't be left in limbo with all the off-the-field worries as well. And they've got the money there to spend there for Sheffield Wednesday, and they need to do that sooner rather than later if they want to finish in the top half this season. So going to the next game, Burton 0, Norwich 0. Not many chances in this game really, a couple of chances either side for both teams. And it's probably the better result for Burton Albion, who are still in their pitching in the relegation mix. But as for Norwich, they probably could have done with a victory here after a good result against Birmingham. Another clean sheet though is not to worry. And I guess both teams are looking to the next game now to try and take that 1 point and turn that into 3 points in the next game to make that result look all better. So into the next game, Hull drew with my team Fulham 2-2. Goals from Jared Bowen and Udiko sent Hull into a 2-0 lead, and then straight into the second half, Abubakar Kamara, who come on late in the first half. A wonderful bit of substitute, tactical awareness from Slavici Jokanovic to bring him on, and Neeskens Gabano in the 39th minute. Kamara scored a wonderful penalty, and he goes and takes a second goal to make it 2-2 as well. So 2-0 down really, we made it hard for ourselves, I'm not going to lie. The first goal, questions of offside, but poor defensively again. The same for the second goal as well, a simple through ball. And every time you put a through ball, you come up against Udiko's pace, you ask him for trouble straight away. He took his goal quite well. And then in the second half, good penalty from Kamara, as I said. So we straight away, Hull did play quite well in the first half. They did play really well. Took both the chances they had and went into the break 2-0. But a failure to hold on at home for Hull this season. Obviously, top goal scorers at home in the league, but a failure to hold on is a big problem for them. They need to start turning some of these draws into wins and start some of these goals conceded into clean sheets. So as I've said time and time again, they do concede a hell of a lot of goals. And I think in January they're probably going to look to try and buy a decent centre half maybe, and maybe a more experienced back line. Because some of the back line you've got like Fikayo Tomori, Michael Hector, Michael Dawson. I mean, both centre halves have played a lot of games this Championship division, but they could probably do with a couple of full-backs to try and solidify that defence and try and turn some of these draws into wins. As for Fulham, not a bad result for us. We're doing okay now. If we can try and do a huge game. Huge game against Ipswich coming up on Tuesday night. That's a huge game for both sides. I think whoever wins that will end up fighting for a playoff place, and that'd be huge. So going to the next game, Ipswich 1, Derby 2. Sam Wheel with 2 absolute thunderbolts in this game. The second goal probably the pick of the pair, and also Joe Garner with a late reply in the second half as well. Good result for Derby, pulling out some top results at the moment, playing some good football, sitting second in the league now as well, eyeing up promotion. Can they finally do it this year after some near misses in the past 3 or 4 seasons? I think so. They're playing some really good football at the moment. As for Ipswich, another defeat for them. Huge game, as I said, against Fulham coming up. They can't afford to lose that. If they do lose that, it'll be more ground lost on the playoff places, something they can't afford to do, and they need to try and find a solution. Moving into the next game, Middlesbrough 0, Aston Villa 1. Tony Pulis' first game in charge ends in defeat, thanks to Robert Snodgrass' second half header from across by Albert Adoma in the second half to make it 1-0 to Aston Villa. Good result for Villa as well. Keeps them in tabs of the playoff places, and it's a fantastic result for them. As for Middlesbrough, not the start Tony Pulis would have probably wanted in charge of Middlesbrough. He probably hoped to get back to winning ways, but it's not the worst result in the world. Middlesbrough fans said they saw a bit more of an improved performance, and I think if Tony Pulis can get a bit more out of his team over the next few months, we might see a turn in fortunes for the Teesside club. Let's go into the next game. Forest 0, Sunderland 1. We're just small quickly. Nottingham Forest have parted company with Mark Warburton, David Weir and football director Frank McParland as well. All 3 have gone after this defeat. Thanks to an Aidan McGeady first half header, gives Sunderland all 3 points. As I just said, straight after that game, the next morning, which is Sunday today, Nottingham Forest have parted company with their management and coaching team, which is a bit of a shock to me. I don't think they've not been doing too bad this season. They need to get some stability, I think, because they've been for the past, since 2011, they've appointed managers in 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and it will be 2018 as well. That's 8 years in a row appointing managers in each calendar year. I mean, that's terrible, isn't it? Stability-wise, it's not very good, and they need to try and find a stability there. I think, I don't know what Warburton, they had that, but for some reason they parted company. As for Sunderland, good result for them. Fantastic 3 points and a clean sheet as well. Keeps them out of relegation places now and keeps them pressing up the table. So moving to the next game, Sheffield United 0, Bolton 1. Gary Medine, an ex-Sheffield Wednesday striker, comes back to an old arch-enemy stomping ground at Bramall Lane with a lovely little goal, and he gives Bolton their first away win in the season after a couple of near misses as well. They played some good football in this one, bit of direct football, not easy on the eye, but they pulled out the 3 points. Backs against the wall second half after a few Sheffield United chances, but they held on for the win, and it gives them a huge 3 points to keep them away from relegation. As for Sheffield United, I think they won't finish in the playoffs this season. I think they're coming through that mid-season blue now, and they're starting to see how difficult the Championship can be. And finally, this review, Bristol City 1, Wolves 2. Fantastic game this was. Goal from Bobby Reid in the first half. Barry Douglas with a second half reply to make it 1-1, and then Ryan Bennett with a late winner at the end to make it 2-1. I mean, I could talk about this game all day. It's a fantastic game. Obviously, Danny Barr got sent off in the first half. A challenge really that if when you're diving like that, you're probably asking for trouble anyway. There wasn't much malice in that, I don't think, but when you're diving like that, you are asking for trouble. But then they came back, did Wolves, after going down to 10 men, obviously, and in the second half, Bobby Reid made it 1-0. Turning point came from Frankie Fielding, straight red card after Matt Doherty, who was probably going to go through and score. Then straight from that free kick, Barry Douglas fires it, and after hitting the post from a free kick in the first half, takes a deflection off Bailey Wright, goes under Luke Steele's body and in, and then obviously right at the end, another Barry Douglas free kick. Best set piece taken in the league, in my opinion. Fantastic header from Ryan Bennett, makes it 2-1. I think that straight away, that for me sums up Wolves. I think they will win the league this season now. 10 points clear at the top, and I don't see much changing throughout the season. Well, that's the review done, guys. We're going to really rattle through some of the New Year's Day score predictions. Bolton vs Hull, I'm going for 2-2 draw. Derby vs Sheffield United, 3-1 Derby. Leeds vs Forest, 2-1 Leeds. Norwich Millwall, 2-1 Millwall. Preston vs Middlesbrough, Preston 1, Middlesbrough 1. QPR vs Cardiff, I'm going to go QPR 2, Cardiff 1. Sheffield Wednesday vs Burton, Sheffield Wednesday 2, Burton 1. Sunderland Barnsley, Sunderland 2, Barnsley 2. Villa vs Bristol City, Bristol City 1, Aston Villa 1. And then on the Tuesday night games, Fulham vs Ipswich, Fulham 3, Ipswich 1. Wolves vs Brentford, Wolves 3, Brentford 2. And then Reading vs Birmingham, Reading 1, Birmingham 1. So there we go, guys, here's my championship predictions and roundups. If you do like that, guys, hit that button, subscribe to the channel if you're new as well, and we'll see you all on the next video, which will probably be later on, hopefully. Bye-bye.